Hey guys, so today I'm going to be bringing you my first AD commentary. I'll be playing Vayne with a Nami lane this game. So I'm just going to go ahead and press play very quickly. Okay, so first thing I'll talk about is the lane matchup. So it's going to be Ezreal Janna versus Vayne Nami. Now both lanes are pretty strong. Ez is going to be going the poke build, I believe. So the poke is extremely strong when Janna's shield is on Ezreal. Now the other thing to note is that Vayne Nami is really strong at the moment. So she has her E, which gives Vayne 3 auto attacks that do bonus magic damage. That synergizes really well with her W, so Vayne's trading potential goes through the roof with Nami. Ezreal's also pretty bad against Vayne because Vayne can just hide behind minions. She can dodge Ezreal's Qs with her Q. And so it means that Vayne has kind of an easy lane normally against Ezreal unless you let Ezreal push you to tower and then poke you under tower. So I picked Vayne into Ezreal and hopefully my aim is just going to be to farm. Vayne also has a lot of kill potential on Ezreal when she hits 6 because she can tumble dodge a lot of Ezreal's skill shots with her stealth. So if Ezreal's winding up her ultimate, you can just tumble dodge it away. And it's really hard obviously to hit a skill shot when you can't see where Vayne is. So that's pretty much the reason why Vayne is so good against Ezreal, and is why if you ever see an Ezreal and you want to play Vayne, it's probably the best time to do so. So we'll just have a look at team comps very quickly. Their team comp is actually really good. So they've got a lot of poke with Nidalee, which I'm going to have to be very careful of because Vayne's obviously quite a squishy AD. And they have a Vi and Cho'Gath. So Cho'Gath is a fantastic peel, and so is Ezreal, obviously the kite. So if we don't want to fight, if they don't want to fight, sorry, they can just kite us away, rupture us, so we can't engage. And then when they finally do want to engage, Vi is just going to use the ultimate, and so it's actually a really good mix of engage and kite. Now with our team, we don't really have any engage apart from Jarvan, so it's going to rely completely on him, on EQing someone and then ultimating in. The problem is when he runs at someone to EQ them, they're just going to kite. Like Ezreal's going to have his frozen fist, so it'll slow him down. It'll be really dangerous for us to just chase. But when we actually have a proper team fight, we have a pretty good team. Lee is going to fall off late eventually, but because he's playing top, he's going to have a lot more damage, and so he's probably going to be able to kill Ezreal in team fights, which is great. Lux obviously is really strong, especially as you get later in the game, so our team comp is actually pretty good. It's just going to depend on who gets the proper engage in a team fight. So at the moment I'm just trying to farm, and I'm trying to push the wave a little bit so that I get level 2 before the others do. Now it's really important level 2 obviously. If none of you have done the golems, then whoever gets level 2 is going to have a bit more control. So you can see here Ezreal's hit level 2 and I have to back off because he could just E into me and then Q me and do a ton of damage, and there's nothing I can really do about that. So you see what I'm doing is I'm actually staying in EXP range. I'm not getting the last hits, but I'm making sure that there's like a semicircle around, or a circle around the minions where you still get XP from them. And I'm just making sure I stay within that range so that I'm still going to level up to 2 and he can't zone me for too long. So Jarvan's going to come for a gank here, and Janna actually hasn't put any wards down, which is a big mistake by her. So we're going to try and get in, and there's a great bubble into a great Jarvan's EQ, and unfortunately my E, I tried to pin him into the wall. The tree has a little bit of a larger hitbox than the rest of the wall, but unfortunately I missed the tree and I kind of saved Ezreal there, so that kind of sucked, but we still got a lot from it. And Ezreal's really low now, so this means I can bully him out of lane. Because he's low and he's got a Doran's Blade, if I stop him lifestealing up, then there's literally nothing he can do anymore, and he's going to have to go back to base. So even though Vayne's pretty weak, level 2, I'm going to start to bully him out of lane. So it's a great knock up by Nami here, and I'm just going to put an auto attack every now and again. I'm not going to fully engage because Ezreal had Ignite, and he's pretty strong still with the Janna. He burned Ignite there onto Nami, so that means that kind of his kill potential is now really low. So you see, I'm just going to Q into Ezreal there. Now, normally that's not a good idea, and I did take quite a lot of damage back for that trade, but I managed to put a lot onto him, and it meant I got my 3 stacks onto him. Now this is going to be a great bubble again, and you see Nami put her E onto me, so you see there that kind of summarizes perfectly why Nami is so good. She bubbles someone, she puts the E onto Vayne, that gives her the 3 little circles of water around Vayne, so you can tell that she's got that buff. And then that combined with her 3 silver bolts is just a huge amount of burst potential. Now see that like Ezreal's really low at the moment, and so is Janna, and Nami's doing the right thing here. Even though Nami is low, Ezreal's got no kill potential on her really at all. So I'm just gonna. So Ezreal makes a kind of mistake there. He stayed around way too long. He should have gone back. He was low. He didn't have any health pots or anything, and Janna obviously can't sustain him back up. So at this point, I just managed to obviously get the Q onto him, then flash before he does, and he just didn't react in time to get his flash off and save himself. So it's just an easy kill, capitalising on his mistake really. Now I'm just going to push this to tower and then go back, because he's actually going to lose a lot this early on into the game. So if you have a look, he's still level 3. He has 21 to CS to my 33. But the biggest problem is that he's lost a ton of experience from that being pushed to turret. So he's obviously, you see now the wave is kind of, it's going to start pushing back to me now, because when you get a wave to the turret obviously kills the minions faster, and so it shifts the lane equalization back, so they're going to shove to me now. So that means that we have a lot more kill potential onto Ezreal. I've gone back and I didn't have quite enough for the cutlass, but I've just bought a vamp scepter and a longsword. So at the moment I'm just stacking AD, because this gives me the most potential to trade with Ezreal. And obviously the more AD I have, the better it is just to trade with my Qs. Attack speed works better with obviously Vayne's W, but at the moment the lifesteal is going to mean I'm going to be able to trade better and stay in lane. It's unlikely that Ezreal can afford a vamp scepter, because he had to go back and he didn't farm very well. So knowing that, it means that I now have the lifesteal advantage, and even if we trade evenly, I'm going to be able to lifesteal that back up. Nami also has a heal as well, even though it isn't fantastic. So that means that pretty much we can trade evenly, I can retreat, and then I'll get to full health way before Ezreal does. I mean, we can trade again, and if I keep repeating that process, it means I pretty much just won the lane automatically. So you see, I'm just going to try and farm as well as I can now. Ezreal, because the lane was pushing back to me, he's managed to get it to my turret, but I'm just going to try and keep it in front of my turret as much as possible. I don't really want to farm under turret and risk missing them. So I'm kind of halfway to 6 at this point, and this is where I'm going to start to engage on them at level 6. So Jarvan's coming around for another gank, and again Janna hasn't warded, so this is something that she really needs to start doing. They've kind of just got a bit scared because Nami went so aggressive, but they didn't actually know that he was there, so it's kind of a shame, because her body language kind of gave it away. And even though Jarvan isn't on a ward, they're just using their brain and thinking actually he's probably there. So this is a great bubble. I mean, that's like hit both of them. It's knocked them both up in the air, so they've got nothing now to trade back. And because of her E, I almost killed Janna there, which is crazy. Like the amount of burst potential that gives you, and I'm not even level 6 yet. So I just wanted to get the 3 stacks onto Janna because she was the closest target and the easiest for me. Ezreal couldn't really trade back anything because he was disabled with the Nami Q. Now obviously once Janna got out of range, I then started to trade with Ezreal, and he made the kind of mistake there of continuing to trade with me. When trading 1 auto, maybe even 2 is okay with Vayne, but when she gets that 3rd auto, the trade is going to swing in her favour, so he should have just backed off. There was no reason to really like bother going in for that. Now probably could have killed Janna there if I had manned up a little bit, but the problem is that I'm 1-0, I've got the control of the lane already, so I don't really need to make any ridiculously risky plays to get another kill. I'm already ahead, I'm already happy with how the lane's going, so there's not really any need for me to throw that advantage away. So Ezreal's not really going to let me kill him at this point in the game. He's got his E, and so there's not really like much I can do. I'm going to try and poke him under turret and see if I can get my 3 stacks. So you see, I'm going to take tower shots now because I'm in that kind of that stage of the lane where I can dominate them. So the only reason I'm taking a tower shot there is because he can't kill me. Like there's nothing he can really do. If he engages on me, I'm just going to turn around once I get out of tower range and kill him. But it means that I'm going to bully him out of lane, and by doing this thing, it opens up things like dragons. So you can see Ezreal's actually still staying, which is fine. He can farm under turret. I can't really dive him without help. But it means we're going to take this Drake for free because there's nothing he can do. I mean, if he comes here, we're going to kill him. So it's just a free Drake and a free bunch of gold for us. You see, we're kind of like 1,500 gold ahead now. Vi's going to come in here, and I'm assuming she's going to go straight for Jarvan. So I'm just going to use my ultimate, tumble into the Cataclysm, and then use my E to pin her against the wall, which means she doesn't really get any damage off at all. The reason I tumbled into Vi there was just because I don't need to tumble away. I want to get as close as possible and do some damage. And when my ultimate, obviously my attack range is kind of low, so I don't want to be in the position where she runs on the other side of the Cataclysm and I can't reach her. So at this point we can start to trade properly with Ezreal and Janna because they've extended quite far up. So as soon as Nami lands a Q, we're going to go for something. Now the thing to note here is Nami's actually been a little bit too aggressive. So there is a point in the lane where even though you're ahead, you can just get too ballsy and start to lose. So that's kind of happening with me there. You see I took like 2 or 3 Qs there, which is really bad by me because that's the only way Ezreal can trade and win at the moment because he's so far behind. Now Nami, see here, she misses her Q and then she still goes into trade. Now while I could have just alled in there and we probably could have got something, it's not really optimal to, I don't know, miss your only disable and then attack. It means that the trade's going to be a lot more even, and it's not really worth risking unless you know you can 100% win that trade. If you've missed your disable and it's a big part of your kit, then it's basically like Taric not having a stun and then going into trade anyway. Obviously if that part of your kit is missing, then you're most likely not going to be trading at full potential and you probably come off even, maybe even lose that trade. So at this point I kind of want to go back, but I see Ezreal staying and so I'm just going to punish him. I'm really far ahead and I know Janna's probably gone back now at this point because if she hadn't gone back she would have been sitting next to Ezreal. So I'm just getting autos off and my 3 stacks wherever possible. I'm happy to take a tower shot as I said before because I've got Lifesteal and he's really low at this point, so I can definitely bully him out of lane. So here I'm going to go for a kill. So I'm going to pop my ultimate and Q to the side and I'm going to try and finish off Janna. Now this is kind of my mistake here by just leaving the exhaust on me. I don't take cleanse this game unfortunately, and so I can get rid of the cleanse, and normally I'm taking cleanse on Vayne, so that's kind of just my mistake of not realizing, really not paying attention to what summoners I've taken this game, because if I had exhaust I would have exhausted that, if I had it cleanse I would have cleansed that exhaust and then I would have been able to kill both of them, but because of the reduced damage and attack speed, it meant that I couldn't actually kill either of them. The Nami ult was really good and it meant that they had no potential to kill me. I don't think Ezreal could have killed me anyway, but the Nami ult made him blow his flash and then obviously Jarvan dived afterwards. And I'm just going to queue in to secure that kill. It was a bit of a scumbag by me. I could have probably, I kind of held off my Q to make sure I got the kill, but when you're playing solo queue you kind of need to take the advantages when you get them, and if it means you're going to carry a little bit harder by stealing that kill, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. So I'm really far ahead of Ezreal at the moment. So I'm 30 CS ahead and I have my Blade of the Ruined King already. Normally I would buy my Zerka Greaves before I finish Blade of the Ruined King, but because I could afford Blade of the Ruined King outright, I decided to purchase that instead of Zerka Greaves, because a finished item is a lot more value than pieces of an item. So I could have had Zerka Greaves and then I could have had like my Cutlass. But those two together aren't as powerful as Blade of the Ruined King because of the active and everything that the Blade of the Ruined King gives you. So you see here we can see Vi. Now what I'm trying to do here is just waste her time. So I know she's there, but I'm still playing quite ballsy. I'm still attacking them because even though I can see her, I want her to think I can't see her, and I want her to sit there for a little bit longer and just waste her time because there's no reason for me to do anything. I'm not going to push up, I'm not going to be stupid, and you see here now that there's no possibility for me to keep her there any longer. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to farm the golem. So there's nothing wrong with kind of retreating out of your lane and taking the jungle when you can't do anything. It gives you a little bit more CS, and it also gives you the lifesteal as well if you are down in lane a bit. So if you've lost a trade and you need to lifesteal back up, it's a good idea to go and take jungle creeps because then you can lifesteal. So at this point we're really far ahead and we do want to trade. Now the problem is that Vi may still be around, so I have to be a little bit careful here. They're playing pretty ballsy as well, which makes me think that Vi probably is sitting around, but now we can see her in the on the red on the map if you have a look. and so we're just going to go and attack. Now I'm going to dive Ezreal here because I've got so much damage. I'm going to flash at the end so that I can condemn her into the tower, because that's an extra ton of damage. Now this is kind of a little misplay we have here. So Nami's gone in and has tried to dive here. So I think I'm dead as well, yeah. That was a bit awkward. So Nami went in before the minion wave. Now I wanted to wait for the minion wave, so I didn't go in straight when she did. A little bit of miscommunication with us, which resulted in us both dying, but luckily I just got an execute, and Janna only picked up the kill on Nami, so it's still well worth the AD picking up a kill in exchange for the support picking up a kill. We probably just could have played it better, and if we wait for minions, then we could have surrounded her under turret already, taken a couple less tower shots than we would have got out of there. You see I actually had my barrier at the end, but I knew that because the tower does increase damage the longer you stand under it, there wasn't really any point me using that because I was already dead. So I'm going to try and speed this up because it is quite a long game. So I'm just going to go ×2 while I'm farming. At this point Ezreal knows I'm so far ahead and he doesn't want to fight me anymore. The only problem really at the moment for me looking at the map is Nidalee's farming really well, and Vi has got pretty beefy. Even though she's dying a lot, she's getting a lot of kills, which means that she now has like a lot of damage, and if she comes to try and ult me, she's probably going to kill me. So this is the point where I just want to take the turret, because the turret gives us an extra gold, and then I want to transition into mid game, because at the moment I'm stronger than Ezreal. So that means that I can quite easily kill Ezreal in a team fight, and probably the rest of their team, because I'm so strong. And at that point you just want to force fight. So if we take bottom tower, then we can just go mid lane, we can get mid lane turret, and that way we can kind of snowball the objectives even harder. Taking global objectives is the easiest way to win a game, because you get like roughly 1,000 team gold every time you take a turret, which is a really big margin. So if you keep doing that, it's just a huge advantage for you, and it's really difficult to throw that away. So we can see Nidalee running down here. Now the only reason she would do that is if she saw Jarvan, and it most likely means Vi's here as well. So we're going to play it a little bit safe. Obviously because I'm so strong, we could actually like 3v3 or even probably 4v3 because of how powerful I am and how weak Ezreal is at the moment. So I'm just going to speed this up again, and I'm just basically farming. They aren't looking to trade with me at all anymore, which is really kind of, it's okay for me. I'm happy to just farm, and Ezreal can't farm under turret that well, so it means that I should be getting more CS per wave than he does. So I'm pretty dead here. I try and E via away, but obviously they've got so much CC, there's nothing I can really do. The one thing that we could have done better there was like Nami still had her exhaust, which she just used, so she could have exhausted Vi as soon as she got onto me. The other thing was to just ultimate as soon as Vi came. So if we have a look, I'm just going to show you. So Vi actually was very sneaky. We've got wards here, but we can't see this area right by the kind of the tri-brush, and what she did was she queued over the wall and then sat in this brush down here and waited for a Q cooldown again, and then she appeared and managed to kill us. So it's a very sneaky, you can see my pings there, that's where she came from. So very sneaky gank, and we have to be careful of that if we're going to push up again, because when you see a Vayne who is I was 4-1 and I'm ahead in CS, it's pretty dangerous for the enemy team, and so I'm going to attract a lot of attention. In team fights I'm probably going to get dived on a lot, and so it's up to my team to kind of protect me there. I get a lot of questions all the time about what do I do against fed bruisers, and the real answer is you can't do much at all. You attack move, you kite, and you're trying to use your abilities to the best you can to make sure that they can't kill you and you last as long as possible. But mid game, it's most likely a bruiser is going to kill you rather than you kill the bruiser, unless you have a bit of peel from your team. So in our case we actually have a lot of peel, and it's really good for me. So this is a pretty good team to have with Vayne. Vayne doesn't have any innate escape. She just has great kite potential if used properly with her stealth of her ultimate, and her tumbling as well gives her repositioning very quickly. It's like 3 or 4 second cooldown, which is crazy. Now if we have a look at our team, we've got the Nami knock up, have the Nami heal, and the Nami ultimate, and all those three are fantastic in for helping Vayne kite away. So we've taken the turret now, and we're just going to see if blue's up, because we're pretty strong right now, and if Ezreal comes to face check we can probably kill him. The other thing we have for peeling is luck. She has her Q, she has her shield. Her shield is fantastic. So this is a little bit of a dirty thing. I'm not proud of this. I'm going to admit it. I'm not proud. But we're going to wait here and we're going to kill Ezreal because we're just going to try and snowball this game. They obviously aren't warding. Janna's not playing particularly well in the warding department, so I'm just going to abuse that and we're going to go and kill them. I'm just attack moving towards him. It's a good Nami ult to mean he can't get away and he's going to have to fight. Good knock up as well. Now we're probably going to be able to get this as well. I have my Blade of the Ruined King active as well. I didn't need to use it on to Ezreal because I knew I was going to get him, so I didn't bother. So that's an easy double kill for me, and that's just all that came from was me being an absolute scumbag. I'm not going to lie, I am a scumbag, and when you're in ranked, you kind of have to be a scumbag. Like, there's nothing wrong with me sitting in that brush. I'm ahead. I deserve to be able to kill them because I'm ahead and I played the lane very well, so there's nothing really wrong with that. Obviously, some people won't be too happy, but if they're not gonna ward and they're gonna push up, then it's their own real fault for doing that. So now we have to be kind of careful because this is a stage of the game where if you push too far, the enemy team is going to come and gank you because you're going to attract so much attention. So you see Janna's coming around and Vi and Nidalee are moving from the mid lane, so we're all just going to try and back off. I'm not sure exactly what Jarvan is doing right now, but I'm just going to try and help him. I'm going to condemn Nidalee into the wall because she's the highest target for me. Now my thought right here is I'm just going to try and get to safety, and then when I'm safe I'm going to start attacking. So now I'm pretty safe. Vi is overextended big time, but as soon as I see Nidalee I tumble backwards because that's like the most dangerous target for me, and I'm just going to go in for the kill on Janna. So even though I was 6-2 and I was pretty fed, that came just from outplaying the opponents and just outweighting them, having a good position so that they can't do anything to me while I can attack them, keep attack moving backwards and just playing safe all the time. I could have kept attacking Vi because that was my main focus when Nidalee came in, but Nidalee would have just killed me, so there's absolutely no point. I just backed off and attacked the closest target. Janna stuck around a little bit too long and I was able to capitalize on that because the enemy team had nothing to kill me with. Like, there was no cooldowns up for them. Vi's Q was on cooldown. Oops, I just missed a kill. Well, that's pretty standard anyway. So Vi had no Q left, Nidalee had no jump, and Ezreal just used his E to gap close. So there's literally nothing they could have done. So at this point, we're just trying to snowball the advantage. So apparently I just dived Ezreal there. Now unfortunately I get shut down here because the Nidalee is going to kill me. She came from behind and I wasn't really expecting that. It was almost a good juke there by Nami. So that's kind of the problem. So that is what happens when you get too ballsy. Yes, I did dive Ezreal and I killed him, and we killed Cho'Gath as well. But the problem was that if you are stomping a lane that hard and you stay in the lane, you're basically just going to attract an absolute ton of attention, and you will get camped there. And that's kind of, you can't keep doing that. So now we're going to have to try and snowball the game into our advantage and turn this into a lead. Now, I know what most of you thinking, why are you showing us a game where you're stomping? And the reason is because even though we stomp this now, the rest of my team aren't doing fantastically, and Nidalee is now unstoppable. So it's actually, we misplayed here. We stuck bottom way too long and we didn't snowball our advantage when everyone else was so weak. And so because of that, we're now making this extremely difficult for us. So see, Nidalee actually flashed there, and when she flashed, it meant my E didn't get her, which was a shame. I actually E'd her to safety again, so that's twice in one game, which is bad for me. I actually just took a spear to the face from Nidalee, and it was over by up here, which is crazy. There's not really much you can do to kind of expect that. But well, I guess it's just outplayed on my part. But you see here, we're kind of throwing the game. This is why I wanted to show you this, because we're throwing the game and we're making this really, really difficult for us. So, I had an advantage. What we should have done is we should have grouped. We should have taken mid turret and so taken all the turrets and forced fights while Ezreal had nothing. Ezreal's still really weak, but as you can see, it's a really high farm game, so kills don't mean an absolute ton. If we have a look at the gold very quickly and just show you that, Ezreal's on 8,000. I'm on 11,000, 11.5, so I am at a huge advantage right now. But look over, Nidalee on 11,500 now as well. Now, the main person who is going to kill an AD in a team fight, if they get to them, is going to be the AP carry because they have so much burst damage. So we kind of threw our advantage. I was really far ahead, and then like all of a sudden we just kind of made the game pretty even, and we're throwing again here. So I was bot lane farming and my team engaged. As a really silly mistake by them. So while I could have been mid, and I probably should have been, there's not a lot I can do when they're going to engage when I'm just trying to clear bot lane. They needs to farm, and I need to push the wave back out. I'm just going to attack move here, and I'm going to try and pick up this kill. So you see, I tumble dodged Vi's Q there.
Blue team's turret has
I'm not
been
sure why
destroyed.
this champion items is stuck, but I'm just going to leave that. So I tumble dodged Vi's Q, used my stealth mechanic there so that they couldn't see where I was. But you see we've now actually lost an inhibitor, so all this has happened in about the last kind of 5 minutes. So I'm just going to like summarize, this is what you should not do. So you shouldn't all sit bottom, and you shouldn't all sit and attract a ton of attention and then just not do anything with your advantage. And then forcing fights that aren't favourable for us has just allowed them completely back in the game. Vi is actually really strong at the moment. She's 6 and 3. She has 120 farm, which for a jungler is okay. Now Ezreal has a lot of farm as well, so this is a better fight for us. Now I'm going to slow this down. I'm just going to attack move backwards and attack the closest target towards me. You'll see I actually kind of tumbled behind Lux there to dodge a Nidalee spear, and while Lux took the brunt of the spear and all of the damage to it, that's fine, like it doesn't matter. It's more important to save yourself and screw over your team as an AD carry. Even though it sounds kind of bad, your job is just to stay alive, and if that means the rest of your team has to die for you to do that, then the rest of the team has to die for that. So that's fine. Now this is kind of dangerous for us because Ezreal has his frozen fist, which means he can kite really well, and Nidalee obviously is really good at hitting spears when someone is slowed. So if we start a fight again, we're going to probably lose because they'll just kite us around and Nidalee will spear us in the face. So at this point Lux needs to go back and heal and try and we just need to regroup and basically fight for Baron again. Now that fight went pretty well. I managed to kite around and make sure that no one could really get onto me, which is my job as Vayne. Now the biggest problem for me, and what I'm thinking about during these fights, is where is Cho's Rupture, where is his Q, and where is Vi, because those two are the only ones who can lock me up in hard CC and mean that I'm a sitting duck, which is where Vayne is at her weakest. So I need to save my Q for Cho'Gath's Q and dodge that, and I need to make sure that I save my condemn for Vi so that when she comes at me I can reposition and condemn her into the wall. I've built a GA now this game. I see my items, I've gone Bather and King, Infinity Edge, Last Whisper. Now that's because it's maximum damage when your opponents don't have a lot of armor. And I built the Infinity Edge second because at that time they didn't have much armor, but now they have an absolute ton of armor, so I need that Last Whisper more than anything. So because of that, I built my defensive item as a fourth item, and they have a lot of dive, so I needed that GA because if Vi locks me up, Nidalee is most likely going to be able to hit a spear on me. Because if I'm a sitting duck, like Vi immobilizes me, which means that if I'm just standing there, then Cho'Gath can probably rupture me, and then Nidalee can hit a spear or dive onto me, Ezreal can ulti me, and that's just a huge amount of damage, and I'm probably going to die from that. So I have to be really careful, and if you have a look at my team, like I'm the only one who's really that strong, so this whole thing depends on me. If I'm going to fight and if I'm going to die, then we're going to lose. So it's better for me to have the GA and make sure that we kind of, even if I get dived on and die, we've still got a chance to win the fight. We're kind of taking this very slow at the moment because it's really risky for us. If we get caught in a bad team fight and kited around, we're going to lose. So we kind of want to fight, but we need to pick the right fight. So you see they're on Baron here, and I'm just standing right at the back. Look, I'm waiting for now the Q from Cho'Gath is gone at the end. I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to attack me backwards and kite as much as possible. Now, unfortunately, I take a spear here from Nidalee. I'm going to just dodge to the side of Ezreal's abilities, and then I'm just gonna attack move, kite, Vi. So the okay, so I'm just going to try and condemn Nidalee into the wall here. See, that's kind of nothing to do with me being really fed. Obviously, the damage helps, but that's just me waiting for her to pounce and then condemning her into the wall, getting the stun, and then killing her. That's kind of one of Vayne's strengths right there. Is she's so strong at dueling because of that stun. Like, Nidalee is really fed, like 10 and 2. She has 4.5 items with that needlessly large rod, and like she should be able to kill me in fairness, especially when I was on like 30% health. Even though I was fed as well, the stun kind of allowed me to win that fight. So the reason I tumbled into everyone and I kept going even when the rest of my team died is because of how fed I am. So it's important to know how strong you are in relation to everyone else. So like, no one really has any kill potential on me apart from Nidalee and apart from Ezreal. Those two kind of need time to kite me around and kill me. They're not all up front burst, they're kind of kite. So that means that I can attack them one-on-one, and as long as I don't get hit by like a long range spear or too many Qs, I can definitely win those engagements because I'm kind of an all-in champion on Vayne at this point in time, whereas they want to kite me around and then slowly engage. So we're just kind of trying to pick a fight. Now this is the point where it's really dangerous because they're just poking us down, and unfortunately, like, when they poke, it's just going to mean we lose. So I'm just going to pause it right here because if you see, like, look at our health bars, they're really low. You look at the enemy health bars, they're all really high. So we'll see up here, everyone's pretty high. Like, Ezreal's reasonably low, but what they're doing is they're just kiting us around. You see we've chased from all the way back here to up here now, and this kind of means that there are 4 of us in this kind of area around me, but we're just going to get sniped by Nidalee Qs, we're going to get sniped by Ezreal Qs, and if Cho'Gath lands a rupture on anyone, we're going to lose this fight because I can't get into anyone. They've all got so much disengage that I have to dodge, that I can't just run at someone and kill them, which means this is a really bad fight for us. If they engage onto us, it means that I can kite around and I can attack as much as possible, and that's when I do the most damage. I don't do damage when I'm chasing someone and they're all kind of slowing me and doing damage to me while I can't do anything to them. So I'll press play and we'll actually see how this team fight turns out. So we kind of veer off to Janna because she's on the side, but if you see Nidalee's hit another spear onto Jarvan and Vi has dived onto Lux, I get hit in the back with a Nidalee spear, which is really bad by me, and then the Cho silence means I can't do anything. I'm going to try and get out of this fight now. My GA obviously was popped. Janna, that's a great ultimate by Janna, pushing us away. And Ezreal and Nidalee are just landing all of their poke. So at this point, we've just got to get out of here. Nidalee is like really strong, and she's full health. She's got enough mana to keep killing us. There's not really a lot we can do. I can try and E her away, but that's about it. Now the problem here is I tumble into that pillar. So even though I flash the rupture, Ezreal lands his Q and I'm slowed. So that's basically me being really bad. So what a scrub fight, really bad. If I had tumbled to the side instead and not hit that thing, I probably would have got enough distance to make it out alive and I wouldn't have been hit by the Ezreal Q. But that fight was just really bad because we picked the bad fight. So as I was saying at the beginning, their team is just kite. It's kite around, get some lucky hits in, and then they engage. And that's exactly what they did. They got engaged on, they disengaged with the rupture and the Janna Q, and then they started to poke us down with their kite. I got hit by 2 spears, and while that's really bad on my part, the problem is that when I'm out in the open and there's so many things to pay attention to. Like, I'm only human and I can't dodge every Cho'Gath Q, every Ezreal Q and every Nidalee Q when I can't even see them casting their spells because they were over the ridge. I can't even see them coming. So it was inevitable that people were going to get hit by the spears, which is why it was a perfect fight for them. They kited around and they prolonged the engagement. But for us, that was just really bad. They've taken an inhibitor again, so at this point we just have to push up mid, and then we're going to have to try and sneak Baron. So because I'm so fed at the moment, I have all my items, and I got a Phantom Dancer as my last one because they're so high health targets. Phantom Dancer means that I apply my W quicker and I deal more damage to high health. If they were all squishy, I would have got a Bloodthirster, but I don't really need one at this time. PD would be is a lot better, so that's why I got that. So Lux has been caught with the Rupture, but I think thankfully she's going to get out of that fine. Now they're kind of bullying us, but if you have a look, they're still 6,000 gold behind. Now the problem is that kind of I am all the gold, so it's up to me to kite in these fights and try and make something of them. So we really need to just fight, because their kite potential is so strong that it means that we just need to engage, and if we engage we will win a fight. It's just that their kite is so strong and their poke is so strong that we're losing these, like we're losing the game without even fighting, which is really silly. So we get a good engage here, and I'm just waiting for my chance to go in. Closest target to me is Janna. You see, I'm just attack moving, and that means I'm attacking the closest target. When Vi queues in, I use my stealth as a tumble, because that way she can't ultimate me if she can't see me. I'm going to flash for this kill because everything is going so well that they're all dead, and there's no reason to keep my flash. We can get Baron now as well, but Jarvan has gone back mid. So while this is a little bit silly, so it's not really pressing our advantage. So we can't do this because if you look, Nidalee is still up and she's sitting there. She's waiting to snipe it with a Q, and if she lands a Q onto Baron, obviously she's going to do more damage than everyone else. So at this point we just have to back off because our smite has gone to defend. What should have happened is Lee Sin, really, or Nami even, should have gone to defend our base, and then we should have taken Baron because we kind of wanted to snowball the advantage. So I'm going to speed this up now, and pretty much the reason we won the last fight is because no one touched me and I stayed at the back. I dodged Cho'Gath's Rupture, and Vi can use her Q on me because I stealthed it at the right time when she dived in. Now she could have like Q'd me, ultimate me, sorry, after my stealth ended, which is probably what she should have done. She kind of misplayed that, but because I was just left at the back and because I'm so fed, it's pretty much the way that we're just going to have to win this game. If I can kite around, then it means we will win. So at this point we're actually really far ahead. Cho'Gath's tiny, which means his health isn't too high either. And the biggest thing is if we can kill Nidalee, we win the game. The problem is that because we lost the first inhibitor of the game, their minions all have additional health, and that means that our lanes will constantly push. So if you look bottom, the minions are at our tower, which means we have to back off. There's no point losing an inhibitor turret so that we can siege, because our siege isn't even that good apart from Lux. So at this point I'm full build. We need to fight. Everyone has kind of got full build or close to it because it's that kind of stage in the game. Now, like, this is kind of difficult for me now because their team is pretty fed, and even Ezreal has 5 items. So it's difficult because even though I'm fed, if I get caught by something like a Nidalee Spear, or if I get hit by an Ezreal Q, that's going to set up the whole engagement for me. And because it's so late game, everyone has damage now. It's not like I'm fed beyond belief and I can just outlast everyone. It's a case of if I get hit by probably one thing, I'm going to die. And that is a really difficult situation to be in with AD, and it means your positioning has to be really spot on. So that is what I'm focusing on. I'm not focusing on killing everyone. I don't need to make sure I dive through to kill the highest priority targets. I literally just want to survive at the back of the fight and auto attack anyone, because I'm so strong at the moment. Like, I can just attack the closest target and I'll still be able to kill them. So you see, I tumble dodged behind Vi there and queued her into the wall, Eda into the wall, sorry. I'm going to flash here to pick up Nidalee because that means we can end the game. So I hope you learned something from this. I don't normally like featuring stomps, but I don't actually think this was a stomp. This was a really difficult game. Even though I played well, the rest of the team didn't play particularly well, and we made a few mistakes, which meant that it just made the game last for absolutely ages. But as I said, I hope you learned something from it, and this is my first AD commentary. It's a little bit different for me, so please do leave some feedback in the comments below. I will reply to all my comments if you have any questions as well. Remember to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitch, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.